Right, we're joined by our new Head of Recruitment, Tommy Widdrington. Tommy, welcome to Bristol Rovers.
It's really pleased to be here. It's nice to meet you.
And you meet up with an old colleague, an old friend, Darryl Clark. You played with him at Hartlepool. Is that where you first got to know him?
Yeah, we actually signed for Hartlepool on the same day.
Did you?
We were housed in the same, I was going to say hotel, but we probably have a look back and say it was a bed and breakfast. but you know, we had a really good couple of years together as players at Hartlepool, ending in a promotion to League One. And then we crossed paths again when I signed Darryl as a player, funny enough, when I was the manager at Salisbury City with Nick Holmes. And when I left to go to Southend to be assistant manager at Paul Sturrock, I was asked by the chairman there who I thought fit to take on the job, and it was Darryl and Mikey Harris who did that. So yeah, obviously we're paths have crossed before. Somebody I've known probably nearly 20 years now. And you know, but he's the gaffer, and ultimately I've come here to help him achieve what he wants to achieve.
Have you similar ideas on how the game should be played?
Well, it's the funny thing, I haven't played in the same team as him. I know how he played, and I know what he likes as a player. I've managed him as a player, weirdly. You know, obviously we have discussions, and we will have discussions about what he needs. He's running this ship, and you know, he's done a very good job of getting them where they are, I believe, and the finishing touches, if you like, or the additions he feels is required to take Bristol Rovers to the next level is basically what I hopefully have come to help him do. And
Head of Recruitment, as you said, says it all. You're out there to look for players for this club, to improve the club and push on.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Ultimately, I think it's really important that I get to know what's already in the building, because there's a lot of times you can look afar and it's under your nose. You know, it happens at every club I've ever worked at, whether I've been a player, a coach, a manager, or in recruitment. So you have to know what you've got in the building already, and obviously Darryl knows, and he'll want my opinion on that. But I'm sure there'll be decisions made between now and the end of the season. If not already, some lads, there's the nature of football, will move on, and others will stay because they'll be seen as something that can help, like I said, get to that next level. You know.
Your background as a player, as a manager, and you've done this job at Huddersfield and Coventry. So how do you actually spot a good player, and how do you decide what's a good fit for a certain club?
Well, I think a lot of it's led by the man at the top of the process, which is the manager. If he, you know, I like to use an analogy of if I said to Darryl, "Would you want a cup of tea or a cup of coffee?" He's given me a definitive answer as to what he wants. So I'll not bring him tea if he wants coffee. You know, if he describes an attacking winger or a defender who doesn't go forward as a fullback, then I know what the parameters of the player are. So again, I've been in the game 30 years as man and boy, so, and I've been in recruitment now for 7 to 9 years actually. I don't know, something in you. You know, you got to trust your eyes. I'm a big believer in technology, and you know, a lot of clubs are going down the route of just analytics, but I think I still believe that there's nothing better than going and seeing with your eyes and trusting your judgment. And you know, I'd like to think my record is as a recruiter, both as a manager and as just a recruitment person, has been relatively successful. So, like I said, I just hope to bring it here and keep that trend going.
So, if I come to you and say there's a player you really should go and watch, how many times do you think you might watch him before you make your mind up? And then would you involve the manager in watching him as well at some point?
It's interesting because I worked to a certain process that I implemented when I was the head of recruitment at Coventry City, and it wouldn't be that different. You know, at the end of the day, and I mean this, it doesn't matter where the player plays, and I mean that by the level he's at. If somebody gives me some intelligence, or I read in a newspaper, or somebody just happens to be scoring goals for fun somewhere and I find out about it, somebody who works for this football club will go and watch him. And then how he progresses through the process will depend on the information that's fed back. I will probably not go and see him at the beginning because I trust my lieutenants, if you like, to tell me, yes, Tom, no, Tom, or you've got to go and see this one, Tom. And then if I think it's good enough, then the manager gets to hear about it. It's no good me giving him all the options if there's lots of options. I want to narrow it down to the best possible 3 or 4 for every position that he'll need. So there's a definite process that I'll work to, and it's a tried and tested one, I think. There's no rocket science about it. It's generic information. It's all about opinions. You know, football is that. You know, and ultimately, if the manager and myself are singing off the same sheet, I'm a big believer that we can move the football club forward, and that's why I've come here.
And I'm guessing, like a number of people in recruitment, you're going to rely on a number of contacts you've built up over the years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, 30 years in the game, my contact list is probably as long as anybody's. Like I said, there'll be people working for me in all four corners of Great Britain, in terms of the north, the very north, in Scotland, you know, the Midlands. I'm based in the south myself, obviously the southwest. So, you know, Bristol Rovers is a big club, very big club, and I don't think it'll be a problem trying to attract people to come, because I think what Darryl has started and is continuing to do is showing there's an ambition for the club to keep going in the right direction. So I'm really looking forward to the challenge.
He's not been afraid to bring players in who've only got a non-league background. Do you think there's still some gems in non-league waiting to be discovered?
Absolutely. You only have to look at this season, and clubs like Cheltenham and Peterborough keep unearthing these. That's because they do the hard yards. You know, the people who do the recruitment at them football clubs. You know, I do believe I've been at big football clubs and higher levels than this, and there becomes a little bit of a snobbery about it, and it shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, you know, if there's a footballer playing in the South West Peninsula League and he's scoring 40 goals a season, it's the same size pitch. There's 2 goals either end of it and there's 1 ball in the middle. So, you know, if that player can bring that to the levels, you're not bringing the whole team, you're only bringing one person. So I'm a big believer in unearthing people. There's a lot of people who fall out of higher levels than Bristol Rovers, not because they're not good enough, it's just because the process or the pathway for them to a first team is blocked because of the money at that end of the game. So, like I said, the diligence and the effort and coverage that I'll be able to give Bristol will probably shock a few people, if I'm honest. I mean, I know how many games I've been to already this season personally, and of course, if there's 4 or 5 people working with me, you can imagine the coverage that'll be done. So we will be very, very hard working, and like I said, if we can unearth one, whether it's playing around the corner at Widdrington, or if it's, you know, as far away as a little village in north of Newcastle called Widdrington, funnily enough, then we will unearth what we can.
So what attracted you to come to Bristol Rovers? Was there any pull towards the club?
Well, the manager's a big factor. I think when he described what he envisages happening at the football club and what he needs to help that happen, there was obviously a hole. You know, there's not a recruitment team here at the moment. So Darryl, having managed where he's managed and brought it to this level, he now realises he's got enough on his plate managing the first team, and you know, like I said, he's doing a very good job of it. So there's obviously that. The people who I met at the football club to make the approach to me, obviously the chairman and the owner, have said things that I believe to be good things happening at the place. So I expect there to be more good news, you know, in the coming days, weeks and months ahead. So when there's a challenge put in front of you, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons. I was at a very big football club in Coventry City, a very big football club, and I enjoyed my year there, and I definitely feel I've left them in a better place than when I arrived. And the proof of that pudding is hopefully they'll be in the playoffs as we're talking now. So from that point of view, I'm a confident guy. I believe in my eyes. I believe in my ability to provide what somebody wants in terms of recruitment. And I do believe you've got a manager who will get every ounce and more, because he's a coach and a manager. You know, he's a motivator of people. I've watched him coach and manage for many years, and like I said, I know the guy. He's somebody who people will want to play for, because he doesn't leave anything out there, does he? He's heart's on his sleeve, and he's a genuinely passionate guy who knows what he's talking about when it comes to football.
Can I just throw something in about academy development squads and the pathways through to the first team for youngsters already here?
Yes.
Does that conflict with what you're going to be doing, or are you going to be looking at them?
No, I hope to be part of that. I think it's important that, again, like I said, your manager and the coaching staff here have got enough on their plate, coaching and managing. So the succession plan for the first team, like I said, you have to know what's under your own nose before you're looking over there. It's not always greener because they're playing for a bigger club or whatever it is. So, you know, the younger guys in the 23s, at some stage we want them to go out on loan. And I know you've done that really well this year. That's something that'll come under my remit. And so if they're not quite ready for Darryl's lot, and Chris is happy that they're ready to go, you know, and play in senior football, then I'll get them out and get them at the best levels we can, and get them some real experience, if you like, because I think it's like young racehorses. You know, it's very, very difficult to take somebody out of a youth team or an under-23s and plant them straight in your first team, because there's a world away in difference. So if they go out and, you know, if they want to run a mile eventually, they've got to get half a mile racehorse, and that's what you've got to do with the kids. You've got to blood them, and you've got to trust that you know, let them go and make mistakes. We don't really want to happen out there, but, you know, there's enough clubs around, certainly around Bristol and further, that I'm sure would be interested in helping develop, you know.
So what do you think? I mean, some clubs have got rid of their academy, haven't they? And Huddersfield, I think, were one of them.
Yeah.
And recruiting from Premiership dropouts, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's arguments for and against all versions. I mean, Brentford have got that model where they have a B team and the manager works with literally one squad of about 24, but every player is capable of playing in that first team. I don't think people realise that. So if they're not capable of playing in the first team, you don't stay at Brentford. Now, they do that way, and they've financially, it's probably cheaper. There's less commitment to building a community of your football club. And I know this, in the city that we're in, is a massive football club in this city. I know that. So we'd be silly to, in my opinion, silly to get rid of that. You know, it's not something that I envisage happening here. It's something that you've got third biggest city in the country. I mean, you've got to have people on your doorstep that waiting to want to play, you know, for Bristol Rovers. So I'm a big believer in giving the kids a chance. I've managed at lower levels and up until the League Two, where I've given many players who you'll know debuts, and they've gone on to have really good careers. So somebody's got to be brave enough to do it. And I know Darryl certainly is brave enough to put people in. He's done it already. So yeah, I don't envisage that happening here.
You haven't lost any enthusiasm over the years, have you?
No. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, I've been in football since 2 days after I left school, and I've only not been attached to a club one pre-season in that 30 years. So it's in your blood. It's what I do, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity, and I can't wait to get stuck into it. Obviously, the season's nearing its end. So there's a lot of work to do from my end of it, because I've got a big catch up to do. There's not too many games left to see, but obviously with the playoffs and that, I'll get out and have a look at the targets that Daryl's already outlined to me, and we'll take it from there.
Hope you haven't booked a holiday, because it's going to be a busy summer.
Well, I have, but it's not a long one. So, but it's always at a time when hopefully we'll have the work done by then anyway.
Pleasure to talk to you, Tom.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.